And we're on. It's Big Red Barn mini pod.
Hello.
Season 1, episode 1 with Gene,
Coming
Dat
to you.
Boy,
And John, that
Farmer
other boy.
John, the other Dat Boy. Late night here on the pod. Many great topics discussed.
We decided we'd throw it on
You know,
just for the hell of it.
probably do 15 minutes of a podcast, and 45 seconds of it. We've already spent two minutes on the intro song that we stole.
There it is.
So, that's a good bar to go ahead and set just initially here.
Shout out.
Shout out Auckland, California.
Yep. Whoever that.
Who was that? Migos?
Yep.
Was that Migos?
Migos? Mm-hmm.
And Travis Barker.
Was it Travis Barker on that?
Travis Barker and Migos,
Really?
I think. Is that what it is?
Was it not Travis Scott?
Is that a collab? Travis Scott?
Was it Travis Scott or Travis Barker?
Is that the McDonald's guy?
Travis Scott.
Drake, credits to Drake and Travis Scott, although
You gotta cut that.
Although the intro music was definitely someone's instrumental that they stole from you first. So we're stealing the theft.
At one point.
We're stealing what's been stolen.
Yeah, we
before.
stole it at one point, yes.
Stolen valor, if you will.
Stealing it back.
What could you say? What could you say?
Yeah.
So
Just stealing it back real quick.
we've got a guy that hates
tonight.
$2,000. We've got Mitch McConnell. Says I hate that.
Yep.
I hate that.
He says, even though pretty much the majority in the House and somewhat of the majority in the Senate approved the $2,000 stimulus, he's like, no, fuck all of you. And he wonders why he gets harassed in public. Remember, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
he tried to go to that
This year.
restaurant, and he basically got I think he got booed out of the
Shamed
restaurant.
out.
And he
Absolutely.
clutched his pearls and was like, I don't understand civility. And it's like, dude, you're the most hated person in government. You work for us.
I'm just doing my job. These rich corporations gave me the most money.
He works for us. You should expect for people to
Feel-
call him out in public when he pulls these kinds of things.
Absolutely. That should be what you sign up for.
Yeah,
Hell, you doing
this
this?
is nothing extreme. Just being able to walk up to him and be like, "Hey, I
I'm
don't
the
like
walrus."
what you're bringing to the table. You serve me," and he gets triggered at that even.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I mean, I just don't understand. It just seems to me.
Is that a blue?
I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
No, it's the
Yeah,
brand that it says on it. They don't pay.
I thought it
You know.
was one of the blue e-cigs, not the others.
No, sir. No, sir.
Like the ones you use to get off of smoking. Yeah.
Actually, as far as I can tell, no one's smoking right now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I can see.
I mean, as far as the eye can see.
As far as the viewers are concerned, they can't see anything.
Yeah.
The only camera that's in the room is covered right now, so, So the CIA, Dominion Voting Systems doesn't peer through my camera
Mm-hmm.
and steal my vote from my soul.
For the next election.
Brainwash me into voting for Biden.
When Don Jr. runs in 2024, Dominion's going to hack your laptop. And
I've been seeing these
And they're going to
semis.
steal your vote, and they're going to say, nope, you voted for fucking Hillary again when she runs in 2024.
Yeah.
You didn't vote for Don Jr. You
Yeah.
voted for, I don't know, Hillary or fucking AOC,
Absolutely.
one of them. Mm-hmm.
I think we need to look deeper into this Dominion conspiracy. If you really get your mitts on this, if you will, there's Dominion Trucking. There's old
There it is.
Dominion University.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. It's not just a voting system.
How many
They are infiltrating American
How
education.
many times until it's not a coincidence?
That's
anymore?
right. That's right.
Like-
How many dead South American dictators
How much
are
evidence?
gonna do this kind of a thing?
How much evidence do we need? At what point?
This is why we had the embargo with Cuba.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you liked those thoughts,
That's
tune in
great.
to your nightly special of Tucker Carlson or who's
Laura-
that other
Laura
vanilla
Ingraham.
paste white guy?
Laura Ingraham.
Oh, vanilla paste white gal.
She'll bring it to you.
Yeah, she'll tell you those hard-hitting facts that sound the same as what Hannity and all the other late-night anchors say on that channel because they get memos that say what to say pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you can spice this up, but
Look out for it.
it needs to mean this. I don't care how you say it, but it needs to mean this.
In the end, it needs to.
I need to listen and hear
exactly
this.
Or we're shutting it down. It's a shame, but.
And I know they'd say we don't get marching orders, and I'd say, you might not get in the traditional sense. You're going to say X, Y, and Z,
Mm-hmm.
but your writers, you have meetings of points of emphasis of what stories are going to get covered for the day, and that's because I've watched the channel.
Like whether.
And you're all covering the same shit.
Like
Same shit.
You want to have an over-under on whether Hillary's emails come up every single day.
It came out for CNN that they had meetings about like what they were going to talk about and whatnot. And they did actually skew a little left, but I think that's also because it's hard for the Republicans to come to terms with the fact that Donald Trump is one of the worst presidents of all time.
He is. Fact. That's a fact. Yeah.
I mean, did we have some good economic success under him? Yes.
That's
Is
inevitable.
it fairly attributable to him? Maybe a little bit in some regards, probably, I guess, but not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of it. It's on the same. The slope of the line of the increase in the economy is pretty steady from the last couple of years of the Obama administration. So that would tell me that there's not some sort of spike that you would expect to see within the couple of years post-Trump. It was the slope of the line's the same. So you would not necessarily say that, he did some sort of drastic change, but kind of rode the wave so he didn't fuck it up.
So to speak.
He didn't fuck anything up.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's fine.
Until his last few months.
Honestly, he probably would have won again. COVID is the only reason that Biden's president.
Yeah. Because Trump didn't do anything about it.
Because honestly, it takes life or death for Republicans to vote Democrat.
Have you imagined, can you imagine if Trump had actually passed like $2,000 checks back in like October? He'd be president right now.
Maybe.
I think he would.
Maybe. That's a fair assessment. If they just would have given all the money, we worked it out earlier, but if they would have just given all the money to the citizens up front that they spent on the COVID stimulus and spending, and this is just stimulus. I'm not talking about the healthcare stuff, just the paycheck protection, the direct stimulus of the $1,200, that stuff. Not the healthcare, not the schools, the stuff just for business and individuals.
Mm-hmm.
You could have given everyone like what, 13,000?
13 or 14.
Before, and then if you factor in this next round, before the $2,000 thing, it would have been 14, approximately 14,000 to 13. We're talking over 10 grand here, guys. That's a stimulus.
That's
a stimulus. Stimulate me.
For certain people, that's literally a fortune.
And some of the ways I saw to work it out
at one time.
Like, what they would do is they would do, like, caps of, like, 20,000 a household. And then you could get to, like, the same fair distribution. And I'm like, that's amazing. And let's scale it so that if you make, like, 100,000 a household, you get 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you make, 150,000 a household, you get 5. And if you make 200,000 a household, you're fucking fine.
You're good off.
Have a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck and good riddance.
That does really hurt people, though, that live in major cities, but that's just cost of doing business. Like,
It's the cost of living in a major city, honestly.
that's part of what you picked.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to hear it. Rent's so high in Los Angeles. Of course it is.
Yes, you decided to move there.
It's a good place to live.
Mm-hmm.
People like the climate and that there's things to do there, and people want to live there.
Rent is high because it's probably got the best of everything.
And I mean, I do feel, though, for people that are born there and born middle to low income, because it's like forcing, gentrification, essentially, on a massive scale. It's just like forcing you out.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
When I worked in Colorado, so I worked in the town by a ski town, right?
So it was like 15 miles from the ski town, probably. It was the next town.
From like Aspen.
On the main route, it was the next town west.
From what?
The ski. Let's just
From
call it the
Aspen?
ski town. Not Aspen, but it's a ski town like Aspen.
Okay.
And then that was really the only direction you were going to go. There's a town kind of to the south, not really,
Davos?
but you had to you had to travel a mountain pass. So if you were in this ski town in Colorado, you could go west to a small town, like a really small town, like had a tiny grocery store and a post office and nothing about it. And you could go another like 15, 20 miles to a town like, I don't want to say where we're at, town like 10,000 people with like a Walmart. Not much else,
I know.
but like more restaurants and things,
Mm-hmm.
but only like 10,000 people. But the ski town had plenty of stuff, and it had like maybe 10,000 people full time. But it didn't have like a Walmart and stuff because it was high-end ski town, you know. They had like a Whole Foods type
Yeah.
local chain thing. But anyway, a lady came in, and she was just moving to the smaller town where I was working at the post office.
The smaller.
Because she'd lived in the ski town all her life, and she could no longer afford her rent. And this was like a 50, 60-year-old woman.
Damn.
Not like 60 years old, I'd say. 55,
That's fucked.
somewhere around there. She said, I just can't afford to live there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She might have said it was even property taxes. That she owned her house, but the property taxes were too high. But I want to say it was the rent.
You
said
said
the
she
rent
was
too high.
born there?
She said she had lived there like all her life, she said. Or like the last like 30 years. Some like extreme amount of time to like live in a place. Like longer than I had been alive at the time.
That's insane, man.
Well, it happens all the time. It happened in Brooklyn. It happens all the time.
New
all
York?
the hipsters bought those old big houses with stoops that you know,
Gentrification. Mm-hmm.
you identify.
All the whites swooped in.
I mean, that was like, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Brooklyn they did that. But wasn't that because the property values there were really low? That was like the neighborhood, like the lowest property value neighborhood, one of the lower ones in New York. I might be misspeaking
I'm not sure.
because I don't know the New York real estate. Because we're in a place somewhere maybe in the Midwest
Potentially.
to west
Yeah, somewhere in there.
to south.
Yeah.
We're not in a metropolitan area though.
Mm-hmm. We could be anywhere, theoretically.
And we are. You could be listening to us in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could.
In fact,
You really
if
wanted
you're
to.
catching the YouTube stream, you pretty much are. Because
Mhm.
satellites.
You might as well be.
Because satellites.
Mm-hmm.
Science. Big science.
Coming to you. Science.
I just want to know, like, how the president and, like, one whole the opposite party can be like, we need to do this. And then, like, it passes one chamber. And it gets to the other one. And then one guy's in, like 5 guys in suits. Like 300 people have gotten on board by now.
Pretty much.
But, like, 5 old white guys in suits
one guy from
get
Kentucky.
to just say no.
One guy from Kentucky.
Yeah, but then it's also like, because if it was just him, I'm pretty sure there's ways to work around that. Maybe I need to learn more about how the Senate works, but I don't think, I think even if he says no, I have a hard time believing in the American system that squashes it completely.
Yeah, me too.
Perhaps it makes it difficult to proceed,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't be impossible. I do appreciate Bernie saying, like, you motherfuckers, you're going to stay here for New Year's Eve because you won't just give people some money. The
Like-
deficit. We had massive tax cuts
Mm-hmm. 2 years ago.
that increased the deficit. Cato Institute was like, this is going to increase the deficit. The Republican think tanks were like, this is going to increase the deficit.
Look out.
No one gave a shit.
Yep. And they continue to do that. Sons of bitches. All around.
They were like, no. You don't get it. Deficits are great when it means I pay less taxes.
Yeah, when you know how to game the system.
Someone was arguing with me and they were like, they said something about the tax cuts, and I was like, well, like the middle class is the ones that really are like footing the tax.
They're hoiting.
And they were like, you can't foot a tax cut. They're just taking less money. And I said, well, here's the problem, buddy.
Like, I'm a fucking retard.
I mean, the revenue, how much money the government brings in, is going to have to stay about the same. Okay? And I said, so we're cutting taxes. And there were some cuts for the middle class, fine. But the problem is, if you're in the middle class, you're getting taxed from your employer before you even get it.
Mm.
You can't take advantage of extra loopholes very easily. Most people don't. Okay? It's just a fact.
Mm.
It's why if you look at the marginal tax brackets, they jump up at a pretty drastic rate in the middle income ranges, the middle class, the higher middle class, than they do for the higher income. Probably because those are the top end of people that don't have a choice for what happens with their money.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying the payroll tax. Thank you. Your contributions to Social Security are greatly appreciated, and we'll take that before you even get it, son. But see, the rich people when they get tax cuts, they can be more crafty with their money.
Yeah, they have a lot more options on where
they're not getting a paycheck from an employer. If you're a millionaire, unless you're the CEO, you're not getting a paycheck. You own a business. You own assets that you own money that makes you money.
Yes.
Or you own things that are worth money that makes you money. But you are usually not, you don't have to file your taxes with a W-2, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The W-2 each year.
Like
because you're not an employee.
Like a common person.
Yeah, you're not an employee.
Like a peasant.
So whenever there's tax cuts, especially when they're disproportionate to the rich people, keep in mind also that those rich people have more avenues for already not paying taxes.
Mm-hmm.
If you just hold on to an asset for a year, depending on the asset, what it is, the money you make on it's only taxed at 10%.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
There's different rates for different types of assets, but that's a general. That's the general term for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a term for what that is.
Just that general tax rate?
That type of tax. Capital gains tax, that's what it is. Yeah, it's bullshit. I don't know why.
CG tax?
Like a plumber that works with his hands.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I need 30% of that $60,000 you made last year, buddy. Because fuck you.
You're like, what?
Because fuck you in your hands.
I've already got all that in my business.
And then you hold a stock that goes up, 20% and make $1 million. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we only need 10% of that. It's like, why do you have to fuck the plumber so hard?
Yeah.
It's like, man.
Yeah, that is bullshit.
So when I bought my property...
They can come back like a year later and do that.
When I bought my property and immediately looked to sell the trees, once I sold them, it was like, 4-ish months later when we sold them. And I talked to a tax person. I was like, can I get capital gains for this? Because, the idea of capital gains is you buy something, long-term, not with the idea of flipping it, right away. So you have to hold it for a year. It's to protect, investments. Mm-hmm. So that you can invest in a 401k for years and not have, 30% of it ate up by the taxes. I get that. I mean, I understand. But there's got to be some way to differentiate between Mega Million Bob and, Bob that's a plumber that makes $60,000.
Bob the plumber.
Maybe we could, I don't know.
Some sort of simple rule. It shouldn't be that.
An amount, and how many times.
Mm-hmm.
You get a capital gains you can claim on your Social Security once or 3 times, for investments or something. So set a cap on how many times you can claim that bullshit. Then the rest of it's just income.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like that. And people are going to take advantage.
Just even the playing field a little bit.
But it's rough to me that they're like, sorry, but I'm just gonna have to fuck you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
You're a plumber.
And you're gonna have to go, Mr. Feeney.
When I had the trees though, and I sold them, they were like, "No, it's not capital gains because you didn't have it for a year." Even though I just sold trees, on the property,
what the hell,
I had to pay tax on that like it was money from my normal job.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Although somehow the amount of money they said I owed that I had to pay was way too low. And I was like, that, because I looked it up, like what they said I had to pay, and I was like, that's not.
That can't be right.
Granted, I'm not an accountant, but we both have degrees in business. We had to take accounting courses in finance.
It's like, wait,
This is pretty elementary.
that seems a little bit off.
You pay an accountant in this case to make sure that you don't try to claim it for something that's not.
Mm-hmm. So
You
you don't
get hit back taxes and deal with all that. So
Yeah.
you just pay $100 up front. Someone else puts their name on it. That says this is legit. And then if it comes back, you have them fucking deal with it because they signed off that it was Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually enough that no one has to fuck with it anyway. So you just pay the $100 and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did.
And it's worth
And it
it.
was fine, but it seemed way too low.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
It's like, wait, that seems too low to be true.
I want to say I sold the trees for close to 10 grand, 9,800, I think,
That's not bad.
or maybe 8,800.
I mean, I don't
It was
know.
8,800. No, here's what it is.
I
It was
don't know
8,800
trees.
for the trees, and then I sold hay and made approximately $1,000 from the hay.
Really?
I think.
From your
Or,
field?
no. I backed that up. It was like $300 from the hay. Worked out to like 9,000.
From
So
a
how I
hay
got to
only?
10. No. From the trees and the hay.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Well, if I square baled all the hay I got,
Would that be more?
well, you could make more money because it's worth more per ton that way. It's easier to move
Mm-hmm.
for all the small farmer guys. If I could sell it for like $5 a bale, which you probably could, especially in the winter. If I could get 200 bales, that would be what, 10 grand?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
About.
I could probably do that. The problem is the equipment to do that is nearly that much and used, like broken.
Yeah.
Like the equipment broken to do that is
It'd
that
definitely
much.
be an investment.
Yeah, that's the problem I have. I need like $15,000 in a tractor and equipment, and it would pay itself off in like 2 years.
But you gotta.
But I have a
bite
hard
the
time
bullet
doing
initially.
anything that doesn't like pay itself off in the same.
Like pretty soon.
It's like it pays itself off in 2 years. It's like, well, fuck that.
Yeah.
It's like
there's too much that could go wrong in those 2 years.
we're like, what if I die?
What if I die? Exactly.
They're like, well, you know how like when we were in business
24
school and they
months,
were
it's a
like,
really long
what's the
time.
breaking point for this? It's like 6.5 years. It's like, I'd say no, Jim.
Yeah.
We don't make money on this for half a decade. And they're like, oh, silly college student. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm 21. And
It's
you're like,
I need to make money.
it's going to be a
quick.
third of my life as a
Mhm.
business before we make money back on this. I get that that's how it works, but it's a little hard to
But
internalize.
I need some spending money right now.
Yeah, it's like last night I ate a stale can of like SpaghettiOs, and you're like, stale, and it's like, that's right. That's what I was to the back of the cupboard.
I came here to get rich quick. No, I'm just kidding.
I was told that if I went to college, that a job would be guaranteed for me. I don't know why you would think that. I don't know why someone would tell you that a college education guarantees necessarily that you would have a high level of compensation job. You know, maybe if you would have not studied gender studies or psychology of women when you were in college and something, you know, in the hard sciences like engineering or law, like me, Ben Shapiro. Thank you, Mr. Feeney. You wouldn't have
You
this
should go
problem.
back to college, bro.
Not only should we not get rid of student loan debt, but we should charge people with student loan debt more so that they fully understand that they fucked up the first time.
And
We
maybe-
pay a tax. It's called the student loan debt tax.
It's called the feet picks tax.
However many thousands of dollars you owe in student loan debt, we are going to multiply that by 1.5.
Mhm.
And we are going to take the amount of time that you're allowed to spend to pay it off, which is the rest of your life, and we're going to change that to 15 years. And it's non-bankruptable, and we're going to seize any of the assets that you own upon not paying it.
Mm-hmm.
And you might think, how could one guy with yarmulke even say this? Well, it's because I don't have debt, and so you shouldn't have it either because I am rich, and look at me.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people I'm 5'10".
Yep. For God's sakes, I tell people. For Ishmael's sakes, I tell people
Ishmael.
I'm 5'10".
For Father Israel's sake.
I tell people I'm 5'10". Goddammit.
Some people call me the shortest 5'10" man
I
in
am
the
a
world.
legitimate 5'10". I promise.
If you measure from the very tippity top of my yarmulke and I'm on my tippy toes, I am barely 5'10.5".
Yep. You don't have to measure. Just
Wish
trust
you
me. I am 5'10.5". Yep. All day, every day.
With my 2-inch lift.
In
My
my
heel
shoes.
Man, I just have such a hard time with
2-inch
folks.
lifts in his shoes, like Frankenstein.
Man. Just thank goodness, like, I'm not tall, but I'm not short. Like, I'm on the taller end of the spectrum, but I'm not tall.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, like, slightly taller than average, but not very much. Just a little, enough to, like, no one's going to be like, hey, you're short, like, unless I'm, like, on a basketball court with, like, D1 guys, and then I'm, like, the short guy. But, like, any other time in life, I'm just like, hey, there's a slightly tall guy, or, like, an average, at least average.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's perfect. But I couldn't imagine being like, I need like a 2-inch lift, and like I'm gonna wear only like mid-cut shoes so I can wear this thing that's probably not good for you. I would assume to walk around like
And
that.
I'm
all
going to
the
wear
time.
little teeny khaki pants so they cover my
I
feet.
just imagine that like
So-
if you start looking at like
so
heel,
I can see how lifted I am.
if you start looking at heel lifts, that the next thing is like toupees, like people also purchased, and it's like toupee, and it's like just for men, you know, like touch of gray, and it's I'm trying to think like what else, like a beard trimmer, like
Yeah.
a 10-piece. It's like the divorce getting back on the market.
Mhm.
It's the 2-inch, you know, the 1.5-inch heel lift.
Yeah,
I don't know. That sounds aggressive.
just like blocks.
That sounds an
You
inch
put
and a
in
half. That's in the heel. That's a great
Just blocks that you put in like your
man.
like
Stupid.
what are the shoes that pilgrims wore?
Like clogs.
Yeah, like your. I just picture Ben Shapiro in like some pilgrim shoes
You know what?
or like leprechaun shoes.
If when you see me on the street and I stood up next to a sign, like you know a robber sign, you know, a security sign where it says the height, people would say that was a 5'10" guy. Whether my skeleton laid out on the ground would measure exactly 5'10" tall, I think that's a little disingenuous to say.
I think I heard passerby said he was at least 5'10".
But you know, on the street, if you see me, you would say that guy, he's 5'10".
He would. I think he would reach at least 5'10" or more.
You know, I pass one of those doorways, I look all the time, and from my eye, I'm 5'10".
5'10" at the least.
From my eye,
Yeah.
like walking, I'm 5'10".
It's like you're measuring yourself, bro.
That's his height because one time he walked by a gas station, like one of those things, and it said 5'10", and it was, you know, like some of them are off. You know, I like
Oh, a
look
lot
by
of them
one,
are
and it's
off.
like 6'1", and I'm like, what the fuck?
A lot
Like,
of them, yeah,
you know,
some of them can be like a half foot off, and
you
it's
know,
like,
they're like 2 inches off there. Because, you know, like, it depends on, you know, the dude that put it up that, you know, could have been one of the hourly workers. And he's like, I don't give a shit.
yeah, they were
Rob me.
They
Like,
were-
he's screaming, rob me.
They were
at the-
just
at the
slapping it
door.
up there.
It's like, I don't care. I'm going to tell him, like, a white guy did it. Like, you know, it's like a, you know, 45-year-old Hispanic or whatever. He's like, no, I don't know. It's a 20-year-old white kid. The security cam says a 45-year-old looking, you know, Hispanic, maybe Middle
It's
Eastern guy.
It could have been.
I saw a 20-year-old white kid.
I saw a 20 to 48-year-old Hispanic white kid.
Appeared to have blonde hair.
Yep.
Blue eyes.
Mhm.
And they're like, this guy was bald.
Mm-hmm.
We have security camera footage. It's like,
Well, then
I don't know.
Then this guy ain't it.
I don't know.
Then
When
I'm
he
like,
was running out, he was approximately 6'5".
Yeah.
And they're like,
then this guy ain't it.
how tall are you? 5'5". The burglar was approximately the same height as you from the security camera, within 2 inches.
He would have been within.
I'm telling you that the guy that robbed the store while I was there was 6'5", blonde hair, blue eyes,
He would have been within standing range.
white,
At least.
6'5".
Mm-hmm.
And on the security
At
camera,
least
you can
6'5".
clearly tell it's like a bald, like kind of Hispanic-looking
Yeah.
guy. He's like 5'6", pot belly. Like does not match the description at all. And the guy's insistent. And come to find, he was right. He had just done a lot of acid before his shift. And what was happening is, while that guy was robbing him, he was still serving the guy 3 customers ago in his mind.
Oh my lord!
That's what happened. That's a true story.
And he was that far behind.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
Just saliva running out of his mouth.
Yeah, just like a river. Oh my god, dude!
Like my dog when it accidentally got into some edibles because that happened once.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately. It was actually not my fault at all. It's actually the fault of someone else that lives in the house. And, shall remain nameless. And, just drool, man, just
Oh my
coming out of the
lord,
dog's
poor
mouth.
thing. I think I have an idea which dog it was too.
Oh, it was the bigger one.
Yeah,
It was the bigger one.
Yep.
The dumber. Well, not dumber. Smarter, but
Yep. That's
gets
exactly
into
what
more
I thought.
things. Well, it's because she's smart that she gets into things. So you figure out how to like open it up and
Yep.
like
Exactly.
it's bad. Like your brain, your smarts is not good for you. But no, she had an amount I thought was too much, but she threw it up. And then like we looked up like how much should you be concerned about? And we did the math and like per weight, she had like, like kind of a lot, but not like shouldn't be like the vet's not going to do anything. Like try to get the dog to throw up.
Okay.
Like you just got to wait it out. There's
Yeah.
not anything they can do, and the amount that she had was not on the level of being toxic.
Okay. Like,
There were signs to look for toxicity.
she didn't even have to have her stomach
like
pumped or anything.
constant vomiting, like is bad. She threw up, but it was like hours apart.
Yeah.
Like in 2 hours. Like she threw up, it was like an hour, 45 minutes or something, like an hour and a half. Threw up again, and then like.
Yeah. As long as the vet doesn't.
But it was like what
pump
she
her
threw up
stomach.
was half chewed gummies. Like she was throwing up some of the gummies. Like it wasn't like she was throwing up like frothy, like like she was having some sort of organ shutdown.
Yeah.
She was just like throwing up the food because she eats like you can't give her fabric toys because if she gets one, a hold of one and you ain't watching long enough, she'll eat part of it, like the fabric. Like if you gave her a
It'll be
Beanie
gone
Baby, she
forever.
would like eat it.
and it'll be gone forever.
It will go into her stomach.
Oh my
She
god.
will consume it.
That's absurd. She's a little doggy garbage disposal.
Essentially.
Whatever.
She's a good dog.
Yeah, good girl.
I think one time she even got. No, I'm not gonna disclose this. That's just gonna die with me. That one's gonna die with me. Because that one was my fault, kind of. Well, like you just can't. She'll fool you. So there'll be several nights where she don't get into nothing, and you're like, all right, she's over this. She's, and it's not like you let your guard down. You just like, she hasn't got into anything. And then one night the terror will break, and she'll get into things. Like things you didn't even imagine. Like, how could a dog get into that?
That's how my sister's dogs are.
And it's like, son of a bitch, what are you doing?
Yep.
And it's
Like,
probably
there's-
because she
there-
woke up and it was midnight, and everyone else was asleep, like 1 a.m., 1:30, and everyone's full on out asleep. And she's like, I have nothing to do. I need to do something.
Or, like, if you get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, your dogs might hear it and, like, just subconsciously think you're getting up for good. Like, you're getting up for the day. And it kind of fucks them
Well, that
up.
probably happens. Well, because your sister's dogs don't sleep with her.
No.
But,
not
like,
usually.
our dogs do. That's crazy, though.
What time is it?
Well, it's almost 2.
Oh, shit.
It's 1:50.
Okay.
But,
I'll call you out soon.
that dog was just drooling, man. Just drool, just
That's hilarious.
like a fountain.
Poor thing.
But it's also like, how does one attain that?
I want to get there.
It's like, I don't know, is that a couple $100? Like, is there an amount?
I actually, that's fucking hilarious.
Like,
yes,
Is there a recipe for
I would
that?
like to get there. Like, tell me your ways, doggo.
I mean, she
like-
probably consumed, like, like an 80 milligram edible.
Mm-hmm.
She weighed
Are
like
you
80
serious?
pounds.
Are you serious? Poor thing. Oh
Probably
my
something
God.
like that.
That probably altered her mental cognition forever.
No, I don't think so. The next morning, she was like back to normal. She was okay.
That's crazy.
I mean, I might be off. I don't remember the specifics, but she had at least like 40 or 50, I think, from what I was told. I also was not in the room, like or really even around when the incident occurred. You know what I mean? It was something I was only made aware of after the fact.
I feel that.
It happened,
It
and
happened,
I was in another room of the house.
and there's nothing you could do
Couldn't
about
hear it, couldn't see it, didn't know what happened, and then I was told about it, and then now I just had to deal with it. And at first, I thought, and I shouldn't have, but I was just like, I thought it was hysterical that it wasn't me. Like that like I wasn't the reason why the dog got into the edibles, because I had, like, this is something I'd heard about before, and I was aware that, like, you just check the dog, and, as long as it's not, like, convulsing or, like, having, massive, just constant throwing up, you just let it ride.
Usually.
And that's all. Try to get them to throw up right away if you can. But
And
otherwise,
that's pretty
you just,
funny. The doctor was just like, it's not even worth pumping its stomach. Like, you're just gonna have to let it ride.
there's not anything. There's like, she's already thrown up a couple times, then that's all that can be out is out. Like,
Yeah.
like,
All that we can securely.
all
get
that we
out.
could get out is probably out. So it is what it is. But see, like, I don't think. Obviously, it works different for a dog than a human.
Yeah,
You can't follow that same ratio.
that's
so
true. And dogs, just their chemical biology is different.
It's just different, the way their brain and everything. I mean, it's similar to how, because everything is. We all come from one. Every organism has a common ancestor, if you go far enough back. So all of our brains, I want to say, isn't it except for an octopus and like jellyfish, like except for like them? Well, like all mammals have a similar type of brain. Overall,
I think so. Yeah,
like it works similarly,
and they also don't lay eggs.
except for the platypus.
Yes,
Isn't that strange?
there's the one mammal.
There's one animal in a continent that is geographically isolated from all the other ones. That just breaks their roots. Like,
It's
well,
still a mammal,
they're like, it meets so many of the other requirements for mammal that
but it also lays eggs. Surprise!
it's like, get over it.
That's just how the science goes.
That's how it goes. It's how she goes. It's also the only venomous mammal, if I'm not mistaken.
What, really? The platypus?
Yeah, it's got like a dagger behind, like its right leg or something. You know, like a chicken's talon or like a dog's dew claw. You know what a dog's dew claw is, don't you?
Yeah.
They go
Like,
high up on
it's-
its leg. Not all breeds have, but some do.
Yes. Yeah, like it's dog thumb, I guess you could call it.
But it's way up.
yeah.
It's like way above your. It'd be like mid shin on a human almost. Or
Yes.
like
Yeah.
3 or 4 inches above the ankle.
Yeah.
And like sometimes dogs will get them caught on something. I had a dog almost rip their dew claw off.
Oh, that'd be
Poor thing.
poor thing. Yeah.
But I mean, like she was just running and got caught on something. They were like vestigial, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they serve much of a purpose.
They don't.
I don't think so. Anyway, a platypus has something, if I remember, kind of like a dew claw behind one of its, I want to say hind paws, and it'll like kick you, and then that claw has venom in it,
Oh, and a
or
platypus.
poison, or yeah.
That's actually crazy.
It's like I'm pretty sure it's lethal to humans.
Do you know what the poison's called?
I have no idea on that. But could you imagine you're an early white prisoner from England? Probably can't even read. And it's good because you're in Australia and there ain't shit to read. But like, you happen upon a platypus. You're like, there's a duck beaver? Oh, it stung me? What in the...
Wait,
Oh, my leg's swelling
it has
up.
a fucking rear.
It's
knife?
venomous? Yeah,
It has
it's
a
like...
rear knife in its
No, it's just like a little. It's like a little tooth.
And now I'm dying of poison from a fucking platypus.
Could you imagine? You'd be like, what kind of cruel hell did, the queen send me to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I deserve this, queen?
Where have we come?
Because
Where have we come from here?
because I refused to tithe to the Church of England.
All because I refused to take the name of the queen. How long was that?
What's that?
How long was that?
Oh, the pod? How long has the pod been? I haven't turned it off yet. It's at 41 minutes.
Wow, that's more than I thought it would be.
And there you go. Let me see. Venom. Okay. While both male and female platypuses are born with ankle spurs, only the spurs on the male's back ankles deliver venom, composed largely of some poisons some of which are unique to the platypus. Oh, okay. I've got to retract my statement. Although powerful enough to kill smaller animals such as dogs, the venom is not lethal to humans. But the pain is so excruciating that the victim may be incapacitated.
Oh my lordy.
And that is sourced by multiple sources on Wikipedia.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, like, it don't actually kill you, but boy, you wish you was dead.
That's pretty much
Something else might in the outback while you're incapacitated from the bite. Or the sting.
You might get run up on by like a
See,
kangaroo.
it's just that little spur right there.
That's insane. Otherwise, you might get run up on like by a kangaroo or a crocodile.
Calcaneus spur. Yeah,
Or-
so
or
it's
an
like a
audience.
hind. Wow. Oh my God! They said that the pain develops from a platypus. I don't know what sting. I don't know what you'd call it. A long-lasting hyperalgesia. So, like, heightened sensitivity to pain that persists for days or even months.
Wow, dude.
Mm.
How many days?
I don't know. It says days to months.
Oh my god, man.
So their venom could mess you up for
Depending
a
on the
while.
person. Like months, like how many months? Could it go a year?
They use electric fields? This is the greatest animal ever.
How did I not know all this about the fucking manatee? Platypus.
It's not about manatees necessarily.
Not a fucking manatee, a platypus.
Well,
Oh, I'm probably about to head out.
I feel you,
I'm
man.
fucking tired.
It's late. But yeah, man, the platypus. It'll sting you. You want to give us a lick to play us out? Something far away, something we all know.
There it is. There it is.
Something we both had to say, and something down the road. Yeah, when you don't know the words, just run it together and give it that old Jim Croce flow. Alrighty. And that's been a short
There it
run
is.
of the Big Red Barn podcast.
I wasn't at my best, but
If you like this
I was already at 10.
and you own a business, consider advertising.
Oh,
We'll
honey.
take your money and we'll talk about your stuff.